The Second Battle of Geonosis, which revolved around the Republic trying to end the Separatists' vast supply of droids from the world, was a linchpin battle of the Clone Wars. However, although it did end in a Republic victory, it was somewhat Pyrrhic. The Republic's losses during the campaign were immense, and were arguably unnecessary. In this video, I want to talk about why this was, what the Separatists had learned from the first battle, and what the Republic did wrong. Now, I want to start by going over the pretty big differences between the first Battle of Geonosis, which was the first battle of the Clone Wars, and the second Battle of Geonosis. The first Battle of Geonosis was immensely different. Firstly, the CIS was not prepared for an attack. They didn't expect a clone army to attack. For this reason, they didn't really prepare at all. They had capital ships and countless other valuable assets just spread across the open fields of the world. And for this reason, these things were pretty poorly defended. And when the Republic did attack, it was just a rush to throw droids at the enemy to cover these assets and allow them to flee. So ultimately there was just no defenses. The clones were basically attacking people who were not prepared at all. And this is completely different to the second battle, because the second battle was concentrated as one strike against the world. The CIS knew that the Republic would be coming, they were prepared, they took precautions such as energy shielding, gun battery placements, and also created massive infrastructure to protect them, for example the fortress wall or the anti-tank barricades. And these things are going to prove pretty big obstacles for the Republic to overcome. And from rewatching a lot of the Clone Wars recently, it seems pretty obvious that the Republic just was not ready for it. The impression that I got from this entire conflict was that the Republic did very much just decide to copy what they did the first time they invaded Geonosis, and this was a massive error. So let's start off with one of the biggest issues, and that is the equipment that the Republic used. Similarly to the first battle, the Republic used gunships and ATTEs primarily, and this is a terrible idea. This worked for the first battle because they didn't face much initial resistance, because the Separatists weren't expecting them. So there was limited anti-air defences, and few barricades that they would come across, at least anything that would be able to stand up against the sheer firepower of the ATTEs and gunships. But this isn't the case in the second battle. The Separatists were pretty tightly dug in, and like it or not, the Republic's attack force of gunships and ATTEs were pretty slow and therefore pretty easy targets. So as I mentioned in the previous battle, the Separatist assets weren't really concentrated in one place. They were spread across a wide area, pretty poorly defended. However, this time the Republic needed to get to the droid factory, and using these slow-moving transports such as ATTEs was just not very appropriate, at least not when you get nowhere near the designated landing zone. Remember, the three different attack forces ended up spread across Geonosis' wastelands. And I don't need to tell you that moving these massive ATTEs the amount of distance that was required was not easy. What would have made a lot more sense, in my opinion anyways, would be using far faster moving shock cavalry. I'm talking about things such as turbo tanks and speeders. The purpose of the shock cavalry is basically to charge headfirst into the enemy, and this would have worked great for cutting apart their outer defensives and making a pathway straight towards the droid factory for the slower, heavier hitting ATTEs. On the flip side, this is something that the CIS actually did pretty well at. They didn't use as many walkers in this battle. They diversified out a bit, using things like hover tanks and AATs, which are considerably faster. As well as this, we see the Geonosians using speeders to outflank the enemy's position. And this all helped defend the artillery, which was far away and the ATTEs could not get to. I will say this much, a part of me really does wish that they had kept the Hullfire droids, as these were pretty great on Geonosis' flat terrain, but meh, tanks and speeders work great too. Arguably better yet, the Republic could have used further air support. There are a few points during the second battle of Geonosis where air support such as Y-Wings is used, and it completely dominates the battlefield, clearing massive areas of Separatist forces. And this makes sense. Frankly, the Republic should have been decimating all of the areas outside of the shields with bombers long before they even considered putting boots on the ground. Now, the reason they weren't used much is apparently because since this was a planetary-wide invasion, the air support was therefore needed elsewhere, which is cool. Things such as Geonosian airfields needed to be taken down first. However, why not just deal with the airfields then the factory. It seems like the Republic was really in a rush to get this factory destroyed, which is understandable, but at the end of the day, they were already blockading the world. It's not like droids or tanks or anything that was produced in this factory was going to be able to leave Geonosis. Therefore, it makes little to no sense why they didn't do it in more stages. It's pretty obvious that the gunships were far too slow to be able to stand up against the Separatists' AA guns, but the Y-Wings were a lot faster and would have stood a far better chance. And they could have completely cleared the way, allowing the ground troops and their artillery to pass through almost scot-free of any Separatist forces. But for some reason, the Republic chose not to do this. Ultimately, I think that although the Republic's attack on Geonosis was ultimately successful, because they won and the droid factory was destroyed, it had some very major flaws. Despite this, we should maybe mention the fact that they did do some things well, for example, bringing flame troopers to deal with the close contact Geonosians, allowing them to clear out nests. They also used a considerable amount of Jedi, which is not really surprising because that seems to be the Republic's entire tactic for the war, but the Jedi played a vital role during this. However, generally speaking, it was just a bit of a mess, and I definitely believe it would have been a case of overconfidence. After all, they defeated the Separatists here before. Why would they change a proven tactic? But just looking at this situation and knowing that the Republic was aware of the preparations that the Separatists had made, it makes no sense why they attempted to use the same tactics. But what do you guys think? What could both the Republic and Separatists have done differently during the battle? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, I really do hope that you enjoyed it. If so, please remember to like, share and sub, as it is really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at TheLoreGuy and tick the bell to get regular updates whenever new content does come out. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope you're all having a great day, hope you're all staying safe, and I'll see you next time.